Well, I'm ashamed to tell you what my primary problem at Ball State was. You've reached Talking with Dr. Terry, 180 Seconds to a Better You, message number 207. I'm Dr. Terry Wurzbacher. Well, I'm not really ashamed because I've told you before, what you see is what you get with me, and I want to be open and honest about everything so we can all learn from it. So even though I've listed several things that went wrong, if you can consider them wrong, both before and during the race, there was one thing that was unforgivable. I didn't control the controllables, and the one thing I should have controlled but didn't was my response to all that was happening. Although I didn't have an emotional meltdown, I had pretty much convinced myself that the math wouldn't work when my legs completely failed. That led to despair and deflation. However, I shouldn't even gone down that road. Why? Because I just totally suck at math, and that conclusion was totally dependent on math. Fortunately for me, there were two people who later stepped in and helped me via messenger that were much better at math than I was. I allowed my inability to calculate something and my inability to know the actual facts to influence my mood. What do I mean by not knowing the actual facts? I wasn't measuring my pace. There's a long story behind that. But I was just guesstimating, and that's never accurate. I should have sat by the side of the road, taken some deep breaths, and figured out how I could work within the parameters of what was happening. The first 5 days at least, I had an okay lead on Oprah, even if it wasn't as good as I wanted. Then I continued slipping more as fatigue and more failing of the legs seemed to get the best of me. It was day 7 that I realized that this slippery slope was just too much for me, and I quit. Well, I tried to. At that point, one of my friends was able to reach me by messenger and did the math for me and had me take it 1 mile at a time. What did I learn? I need to have the facts and evidence before I make glowing proclamations of truth. I learned to ask for help, but first I had to realize this problem and that it was my math more than my legs at that point. I learned that I have to constantly regroup no matter what it takes. I learned that even though it's not my comfort zone, sometimes I'll have to try some strange things to see if that will improve the situation. I needed more sleep when my legs were empty. I didn't really know that at that time, but at least it would have been something to try. I could have tried it once without taking too much walking time away, and if it helped, then it would have improved my pace and the time would not have been lost. It would have actually been improved. The key thing is whether or not I'll implement these changes in the future, and I think I will because I've thought them out pretty well. That's always the key to change. Do you understand why you're making the change, or is it just forced upon you without explanation? Remember that when you're working with your employees or your kids or anyone. Explain why things will be better with the change. Have a diamond day.